That was weird. Why'd the chair be in that position? Anyway, good morning and happy Hump Day, everyone. Let's get to my low Muhammad act of kindness. Let's see, what's my low? I stayed in bed too long. Honestly, I was supposed to be out of bed like well over an hour ago, but man, I just couldn't get out of bed. Ugh. And the sad part is, I went to bed pretty early. Well, early is just around 10:30. So you know what's killing me is because sometimes at night I get up to go to the bathroom. I think that's what ultimately kind of ruins it for me. Nothing's wrong with me, obviously. I get up and use the bathroom. I was gonna say something that would be a little bit TMI. Nothing dirty or anything. It just would have been, when you go to the bathroom, or at least number one, when you're hydrated, your urine has to come out clear. Mine's coming out clear. That's all I was gonna say. So I'm hydrated. Which could also be my high. But my actual high was talking to my mom yesterday. It was awesome. And, I wasn't successful getting out of bed this morning, but I was definitely successful going to bed early. That was important. And, oh my gosh, my act of kindness. No kidding. Yesterday, I quite literally saved someone's car. Like, there was a lady who, she gets out of her car, but she gets to put it in park. And it started driving away on its own, but I was able to stop it and give the car back to the lady. I can't say, because I'll be honest, I've been guilty of that sort of thing too, where I accidentally don't put the car in park. The difference is, though, I've never actually gotten out of the car. Like, what I do is, I'll park my car, or I'll get into my parking space, or wherever I'm going to keep the car at. And obviously, I'll keep my foot on the brake until I'm just about to get out of the car. Like, the instant I take my foot off the brake, I can actually feel the car move, and that signals me I need to stay in here and turn everything off. Yeah. So, that happened. But I saved someone's car yesterday. And the lady thanked me. That's actually one of those times where I felt real good. I'm not gonna lie. Speaking of feeling good, it occurred to me that on Sunday, when I talked about, the wedding I went to, I never really elaborated on what happened. Like, where it took place, or, what happened, who was wearing what, stuff like that. So, I guess the logical thing to do would be to take place at the beginning. The ceremony started at 4:30 at the Radisson Hotel in Corning. Obviously, as any wedding dictates, in terms of where people sit, there's a bride's side and a groom's side. Groom's side always sits on the right, and the bride's side sits on the left. From my actual point of view. And no one could sit up in the front two rows of either side, because they were saving that for very important family members. So I sat, in the third row right next to the aisle, because, and because I'm left-handed, it was perfect, because, I had the leg room in touch. And then people start walking in. The officiator walked in. Then my cousin, the groom, he walked in. I did this because he looked very nice. And as time went on, more and more people went in. You had all the group, you had the bridesmaids show up, and then the groomsmen show up, and then there was the bride. I sort of had this recurring joke where I say, at a wedding, the bride is always the most beautiful person in the room at any given time. And this was no different. It was everything down to her hair, makeup, dress, everything beautiful. I have no notes. 10 out of 10. Yeah, it was. She looked beautiful. Of course, that's how it is. And so the officiator did the ceremony. There was a poem read, which made the person reading the poem cry. I want to say it was about just over halfway through the ceremony. I mentioned I started crying, and that's when it happened. And I've said this before. If I go to a wedding and I cry during the ceremony, it means the wedding is good. And how do I put this? I knew I wanted to cry, and I'm actually thankful I did. But a part of me thinks, it still would have been a great wedding had I not cried, I guess. I guess it does sort of set a precedent for, the fact I cry at weddings, and I wound up having an amazing time. So that was great. I mentioned that a tear went down this side of my face. That was great. After the ceremony, there had to be a group photos that I had to be a part in. There was a photo with my family, a photo of my cousin's family, and a bunch of other photos that needed to be taken. And then we had happy hour. And I am totally one of the guys that fills up on hors d'oeuvres during cocktail hour. I know, I'm so bad, I am. But it was very good. They had a vegetable and a ranch plate. There was a fruit and white chocolate ganache plate. Cheese and crackers. There was shrimp and cocktail sauce, which is one of the best things. Listen, except for the shrimp, the best stuff was all the hot food, which there was chicken vegetable spring rolls and really good meat, sweet and sour meatballs. That was all very, very good. Mentioned the shrimp, of course. And there was open bar. I don't really drink, but I got myself a whole lot of Coca-Cola. I did drink some. Specifically, I had a glass of. I obviously had the glass of champagne when we were doing the toast. I'll get to that in a second. They offered a glass of red. Had that, and I killed one beer. That was the whole of what I drank in terms of alcohol. So, yeah, very manageable, especially with all the food I ate. Speaking of which, in terms of what was for actual dinner, there was a salad that was very good, and a minestrone soup that was also very good. And then there was the actual main entree that we all ordered, and there were 4 options. It was there was a vegetable turnover for those who were vegetarians. Panko crusted salmon, chicken marsala over linguine, I think, or over pasta, and obviously the thing I would get was the prime rib, and the prime rib was cooked perfectly. Well, it was cooked perfectly in terms of the fact that you have over 100 people there, and you can only do such a good job for what it is, and it was very good altogether. There was a cupcake table do a few different flavors of cupcakes. There was the actual wedding cake, of course. And before we got to eating, there was, the thing where, the bridal party's walking in, the DJ's welcome everybody in. That was awesome. It was a lot of fun. And, we got the, the maid of honor speech, the best man speech. There was a blessing given to the father of the groom, who was also my cousin. The mother-son dance, the dad and daughter dance. Well, really it was niece and uncle dance, but we're calling it dad and daughter because you don't argue with stuff like that, out of respect. There's a thing where they cut the cake and they feed each other the cake. That was awesome. There was a whole lot of dancing. The table I was at, it was my uncle, his wife, my brother, his wife, my parents, and myself. That was our table. And there was a lot of dancing. There was fireworks, a whole lot of fireworks. We did that thing where we all get in like two different lines and we're holding up our phones with the light on them, and the bridegroom walking down, like woo, and then they gotta go back the other way. Woo. Also, shout out, I know I said this on Sunday, but once again, shout out to the photographer, real MVP. He was the real MVP of the day. I think he was. Could say we had a rather golden experience with him. And after that, the party still wasn't over. I mentioned that I went to bed at like 2 a.m. And there is a reason for that. Because everybody decided to go, well, I say bar hopping. We only went to Volo on Market Street, which technically I've been in Volo before, but for cabin fever. This is my first time there proper. And Volo's a cool place. I like it. I like that they have like a shelf dedicated like empty bottles of Don Julio, I think. Don Julio tequila. And they're all signed by the people who finish them. And by people who finish, I mean like obviously not one person drinks an entire bottle of it. That'd be crazy. Like obviously people drink it, throughout however long it takes to finish a bottle. And whoever drinks the last drop, they sign the bottle. So they kind of have like a little wall of fame right there. That's really cool about that. They had a vending machine filled with a lot of questionable stuff. Like there was an ashtray. There was a drug test in there for some reason. Obviously, they had stuff like chips and bags and stuff. One of them actually had like a giant wolf hand for like a Halloween costume, which was weird. They were doing karaoke. And I thought about doing karaoke, I really did. But it was like, 12:30, almost 1 a.m. I was exhausted. I didn't think I'd have a very good performance if I did karaoke. But next time I will. Hopefully here's the thing, I want to do more karaoke, I really do, but the problem is, I never know what I want to sing. Because, people can go up in karaoke and sort of, half do it, and, the point is you're having a good time, and people laugh at your expense, and if you can laugh at yourself, that's great, but I want to do that. I want to do a nice job. I want to get up there and blow everybody out of the water, So, it's kind of hard for me to pick a song I want to do. Not to mention, some karaoke people who, bring the equipment, they have a set list of songs you can choose from. And with my luck, almost none of the songs I would want to do around there. Which, why would you even have karaoke if you can't even do that, But this guy was cool. after Volo, everyone who, well, some people stay at the Raston Hotel because they're actually staying there, and I immediately went right up to Cuca Lake. And you know what? I've told this story before, but coming back from Colorado last year, I saw a lot of deer. In fact, one legit almost hit my car. This time, though, I was smart. Like, I drove much slower, much safer, and I got to the lake. I still got to Cuca Lake with, I'd say it probably took about only 5 minutes longer than it would have. But the point is I was safe. And I did the only thing that made sense. I took off any clothes that I didn't need to go to bed in, and I just collapsed in bed. That's what I did. And that's the story of that. I mean, listen, you know, it's funny. They mentioned that rain on a wedding day is good luck, which I do believe in. But I'm like, what time did it rain? Someone's like, it rained this morning. Well, there you go. I mean, because everything looks bone dry outside. I'm like, when did it rain? Like, so, I mean, listen, I said enough on Sunday, but it bears repeating. This wedding was wonderful. I'm trying to think over anything I forgot. Can't really think of anything I forgot. Ultimately, it was a very beautiful day. It was a very beautiful ceremony. I'm very happy that I got to bear witness to this. And, you know, stuff like this is why. I mean, listen, I've said this over a dozen times at this point, but yeah, you know, I want a girlfriend, and, you know, sometimes it is kind of, you know, depressing that, you know, I haven't found that special someone yet to hold hands with for the rest of my life. And yeah, I'd be lying if I didn't say that, you know, after the wedding the next day, I did feel kind of, I guess, lovesick, if that's what you want to call it, where as great of a day as I had, a part of me is like, man, I wish I was with somebody, you know? But that's my burden to bear. You know, that in no way affects how the day overall was. And the day overall was absolutely everything that, well, I hope it was everything that the bride and the groom were wanting. I mean, listen, obviously everyone wants to have a good time at a wedding. I certainly want to have a good time at a wedding. But at the end of the day, it's not really up to me. It's up to the bride and groom, by which I mean just the bride. So I really do hope that the bride and the groom had the most perfect day ever. I hope so. Again, I'm certainly flattered that I got to bear witness to this. I got to see everything, and, you know, I said this, actually, the guest book was really cool. Like, they have like a tree that was embedded in like two different sides of glass, and you had to write on this little leaf and drop the leaf down and see where it landed on the tree. So it was a really cool guest book. I like that. But yeah, I thought it was a very wonderful day as a whole, and honestly, it makes me want to go to another wedding. Funny enough, another friend of mine actually got married on that day, but I didn't get the invite, but that's okay. I mean, even if I was invited, I couldn't go because I had to go to this wedding. So, yeah, I'm okay. I hope you like this video. Like, subscribe to the YouTube channel, find me on social media. As always, I'll do a Hump Day video for all of you guys watching. Enjoy everything. Hope you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And remember, if you guys want to talk, James, we get to let me always be back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.